Today we are ranking every single Deltarune boss and mini-boss. I was actually going to record this tier list after chapters 3 and 4 released, but I think the footage got messed up or something, or my power went out, or something happened. But whatever, I want to talk about Deltarune, and I'm also wearing the Unisans hoodie. Been a while since I wore this one. I need to clean it. And by doing this tier list now, I'll give myself at least 2 more videos to make, maybe even 3 if there's a secret 8th chapter that comes out in the near future. And be sure to check out all my videos on Deltarune. Like, my goodness, like, I've a whole slew of videos for you to enjoy about Deltarune. And, you know, spoilers, if you haven't played Deltarune, highly recommend it. And, you know, you don't want to get spoiled for this. Starting off, we of course have the first initial Lancer encounter. What an iconic encounter, am I right? It's funny, it's goofy. Toby Fox made it very apparent the type of humorous vibe he was trying to go for. Lancer's a very good embodiment of the type of humor he wanted to implement into Deltarune, and I think he did a good job of it. So I'm gonna give Lancer encounter number 1 a very respectable B tier, right middle of the road. Very nice and good setting the bar. Moving on, we have the checker piece Crown King boy. I don't remember the name of this one. I struggled a lot the first time I played this game. I remember playing Deltarune Chapter 1 when it first released, and I really got kind of stuck on this guy, but he's not actually that bad, and it's pretty, the way you beat him is pretty clever, getting him to bow to knock his crown off. Not bad, but he's no Lancer. I'll still give him a B tier, though. Next up, we have Clover, probably one of my favorite Deltarune Chapter 1 characters, to be honest. Side characters, anyway. The way Clover appears in a couple different puzzles in a couple different rooms, and all of her heads are just sticking around everywhere. Pretty funny. I've always liked Clover as a character. Her fight's like, you know, it's pretty all right. I should also make it clear by now, I'm not just ranking these based on how difficult they are and how fun the fights themselves are, but I'm also trying to rank them based on their story significance and how impactful I found them anyway. Like, Clover's a fun character, and I like them as a side character, but, you know, they're no Lancer, and they're definitely no Checker Piece King. I'm gonna throw them in C tier for now, but I'll give them potential to move up. And then we have the fight against Susie and Lancer. Definitely an important character moment for Susie. Not only is it a goofy battle, but it's also an important moment for Susie where she's kind of just like, yeah, you know, I don't really want to go along with all this, and she's kind of like sprouting her own bit of independence and showing the type of person she really is. Not that she's evil or anything, but that she wants to call her own shots and stuff. This is a good encounter. I think I'm gonna go ahead and he definitely goes above the, this encounter definitely goes above the checker piece. And, you know, I think it actually does go above the first Lancer encounter, honestly. I think this encounter was just a little bit more impactful. Although I'm going a little bit quick with these because there's so many of them. I'll go in depth on some of the important ones, but I don't want to be sitting here for over an hour. Then we have Lancer versus Susie in the dungeons. And much like the first versus Lancer encounter, this was also a big character moment for Susie. Not only did she learn that, yeah, she's not just gonna attack anybody who stands in her way, because if someone she likes or respects or whatever is standing in her way for whatever reason, or if they don't have a choice, then, you know, she's not just gonna cut them down. And this is also where she agrees to start, you know, working alongside the party. It's quite an important moment, so I think I'm honestly gonna give this encounter an A tier for certain. And of course, the battle against good old King, I was gonna say King Dad, but that's Asgore. Dad King, that's him. He is a true villain. He is actually evil. He is actually like a no good doer. And it's where Susie gets a real look at what evil really looks like, and, you know, she doesn't want to be like that. It's how people see her, and it's how, you know, she feels she is perceived, and when she realizes, like, man, you know, people really see me this way, but I don't want to see me this way. Another very impactful encounter, and the fight itself is like pretty fun. I quite like the gimmick in this fight with the box moving around and stuff. I think I'm definitely gonna give it an A tier, but I think the Susie v Lancer fight is just a little bit more impactful, so I'm gonna leave this one right there. And of course, our big secret boss at the end of chapter 1, good old Mr. I can't do anything because I have crippling paralysis. Jebel is definitely a very memorable encounter, and, you know, I think the lore implications behind him are also quite impactful and opened up a lot of mystery and a lot of theory crafting right from the get-go. But I don't think his fight is very fun, personally. His fight is the epitome of random bullshit go and try to survive. His attacks are more predictable than some other bosses on this list, but he's really not one of my favorite fights. But I know how much people love him, and, you know, the lore implications of him are quite up there, so I'm definitely gonna give him a B tier. I think I'll put him right above Lancer 1, but probably below Susie and Lancer fighting together. Yeah, I'll put him right there, and I'll give him potential to move up. Moving into the Chapter 2 territory, we have Sweet Cap'n Cakes. Oh man, I love this encounter. It gets massive points for presentation. The fight itself is also super goofy and fun, and I love how some of the attacks are in sync with the music. Very good stuff. Honestly, this one's definitely an A tier. I don't think I can put him above King though, quite frankly. I think King definitely ranks a little bit higher, but they're definitely an A tier. Then we have good old Birdly, the good old Birdly that the internet has like really started standing and loving and just being like, oh, man's more of a Chad than, you know, the universe gives him credit for. I mean, he's not a bad guy or anything. He's just like a giga nerd. And since I'm not seeing any extra bits for Birdly here, because like for Spampton here, we got normal and weird route, but I'm not seeing a weird route version for Birdly here. I'll also include the weird route Birdly scene, the whole Snowgrave business. That moment was, whoo-wee. That was quite the, quite the terrifying moment and realization that, you know, Undertale's killing route might have been really horrific and bad, but this might be worse. And even in the normal route, Birdly's a good moment for Noelle, an excellent character growth moment for both of them, really, quite frankly. Honestly, Birdly, I'm gonna give you an A tier. I'm gonna put you above Sweet Cap'n Cakes, right behind King. I think you deserve it, my friend. Mr. Spampton. Man, the internet loves him. Our #1 rated salesman, 1997. I love this fight. I love the dialogue. Like, I don't really think there's much I need to say about Spampton. Like, he's just amazing, and he's just such a funny character. We'll talk about his lore implications and stuff when we get to the Neo fights, but do I give regular Spampton an S tier? Yeah, I think do I? His fight's pretty fun. I think I'll give him high A. I think I'll put him above King, but I still think Susie v Lancer is probably the most impactful and memorable encounter, I think, in my opinion, like so far. Task Manager, oh boy, the internet had a real field day with this one. I think Toby Fox knew exactly what he was doing. The mechanics in this fight are also pretty fun. It's pretty interesting and pretty just like, oh, you know, that's pretty cool. It's not too hard, but if you don't pay attention, you will lose. And generally all around, just pretty good encounter, excellent character design, music banging. I'll give this one a B. I definitely enjoyed this fight a lot more than Jevil, but Jevil has better story implications, so I'll say she's like right on par, right below Jevil, I'd say. Mouse Wheel. This is a pretty quirky, funny one, but it's not really too like overly memorable / crazy. I'm gonna put this one in C tier. I think probably above Clover to be. No, I'll put you below Clover. They're about on the same tier. Good old Captain Rules card in the boat. That was quite quite the experience. The little house minigame's pretty fun. It's a nice little intermediate section, and it's just Chris and Rousey on their lonesome self on the Swans. I like that fight. It was very enjoyable, very fun, neat little gimmick, very easy to win, but fun and memorable nonetheless. I'll put this one, honestly, I think this one might get a low A tier. I don't think it has any potential to move up, but I think it deserves a low A. Queen fight #1. Oh boy, I think we might have our first S tier here. The first instance of the Queen fight where she has her little acid wine glass, I really like this fight. Not just because of during the fight itself and the mechanics are interesting and the way the text or the way the bullet boxes moved around and stuff is really interesting, but I think this fight is really good because of how much impact it has after the fact. Because once you realize at the end of the chapter that Queen's not genuinely evil, she's not trying to bring about the roaring or end the world or any of that, she's just genuinely trying to make a better world but didn't understand what would happen if she tried. That fact really adds to like all of her dialogue and adds an extra layer of understanding to her dialogue during the fight that like she really isn't evil. Her methods are just a little bit extreme and, you know, she's not as knowledgeable as she thinks she is. Yeah, honestly, I really like the Queen fight. It's really good, and Queen's an awesome character. I think she's our first S tier, hands down. And then the boxing match rank, the whole boxing mechanic, very fun stuff, very cool. But I don't think the dialogue is as impactful as it is in her main first fight. But the mechanics of the punching and the punch out stuff is still really cool and creative. I think I'd be scorned if I didn't give this at least an A tier. Oh, I think it goes above Sweet Cap'n Cakes. I think I'm gonna move these two down to low B. Probably like next to Jevil, like right there. Yeah, that feels good. And now we're getting onto the big stuff, like Mr. Spampton Neo, the biggest. He isn't big enough. Spampton Neo on the normal route is like pretty much just as good as he is on the weird route. I think the normal route is honestly a tiny bit more impactful than the weird route, because you have that bit after the fact where Susie and Ralsei attempt to console and comfort Chris because he seems really upset and disturbed and messed up in the head after the fight, like just extremely messed up by all the talk of strings and puppets. And the fight itself is genuinely challenging, and it's probably one of my single favorite fights in the entire game. The challenge and the difficulty feels like just right. Normal route Spamtonio definitely gets an S tier. I'd say he's about on par with Queen. Like I'll put him there, but those two are pretty much on par. And then as for Weird Route Spamton, where it's just Chris all by his lonesome self, still extremely impactful, but I think I'm gonna have to put this one in A tier. Because I think the normal route Spamtonio is just a little bit more impactful and more fun for that matter. The fight itself is just more fun in the normal route. I'll put him right behind regular Spamton. That feels about right. I don't remember the name of these two characters and I feel kind of bad. I did like this fight in chapter 3. It's definitely, it's kind of memorable. It gets more memorable towards the second iteration of this fight. But the fight itself and the mechanics are like, they're pretty all right. It's not the most memorable in my opinion. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in B tier, probably just behind Task Manager. I think she's definitely more memorable. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and move Checker Round Boy down to a C tier. Yeah, that feels right. Actually, I'll move Lancer up here. No, actually above Task Manager, quite frankly. Then we have this stupid water cooler. Unironically, I love the water cooler encounters, not just because they're funny, but because the bullet patterns are just like very satisfying to dodge and just go up against. There's not a whole lot of story going on. They're just kind of there as a meme, but their fights are genuinely fun. So I think I have to give it at least like a B tier. I'll probably put it at the bottom of B tier, but honestly, they're more memorable than those two, quite frankly. I'm putting them right there. Then we have Shutta, who is kind of a mini-boss. Shutta's mechanic is pretty funny and pretty interesting. The fight itself is, it's pretty fun. I wasn't really too good with the timings and stuff with the cameras, but I think it's a pretty funny little mechanic. Not the most memorable, though, in my opinion. There's not really too much story going on here. Definitely like it more than Mouse Wheel, but I still think I enjoy Clover a little bit more as a character. I'm gonna just put Shutta right there. And then we have Triple Trouble. This fight is it spawned one of the greatest memes out of Deltarune, if you ask me. I wish I had an actual laser pointer. This fight's very entertaining. The mechanics are genuinely fun to go up against. Not a whole lot of lore and story. I mean, there's individual character progression, but nothing overarching, which is fine. But now this is definitely better than the first encounter. I think I'll have to give it an A tier. I definitely like it more than the regular rules encounter. But I think I like Queen and everything else up here definitely a lot more. But yeah, that's a really good encounter. That's a fun one. Oh, now we're getting into some of the really good stuff. Eram, this little shadow mantle bastard. Genuinely one of the most challenging fights in most of Deltarune. There are harder fights, but this fight is challenging, but it's also really fun and unique, and the way you have to get to it is extremely interesting. The story implications and lore implications are way through the roof as well, and it's definitely one of the most memorable Chapter 3 bosses, seconded only to, like, the Knight. Yeah, I like Eram a lot. I don't know if I'm gonna give him an S tier, definitely high A. Spamton Neo and Spamton OG is definitely more memorable. I'm gonna put him here. Yeah, I think his fight is honestly a little bit more interesting than King's, and the story elements behind it are just a little bit more interesting and intriguing. And the mechanics themselves, while difficult, very fun. Usually it took me a long time to beat this guy for the first time. Usually when I get stuck on a boss and I'm fighting it over and over and over again, I don't like that. That's not how I like to play games, which is why I'll never play any Souls games. But this was a fight I was genuinely enjoying because the music was banging, the controls felt like really smooth and easy to handle, and I really felt like I could win, and it was just a really good fight. Moving on, we got Mr. Tenna. Oh my god, this is a chaotic fight, but a very memorable, cool fight. The music is absolutely awesome, and the way the music meshes with the music minigame and Ralsei swearing is absolutely hilarious. Tenna is an extremely tragic character. I had a lot of sympathy for him the first time I played Deltarune Chapter 3. Also, his design, where he's like 3D, very cool stuff. This fight gets massive points for presentation. It can be a little bit chaotic and difficult to manage sometimes, and it can be a little bit overwhelming, but not too much. Tenna gets at least an A tier. I think I'm gonna put Tenna pretty much on par with like King and Eram. I think he belongs around there. And I might move the first rules encounter down to high B. Yeah, I'm gonna move that down to there. That feels pretty good. And of course, the like ultimate moment of Chapter 3, fight against the Knight. Man, that was such a good fight. Now, I've never beaten the fight without the Shadow Mantle. I'm sure I could with many hours of practice, but I don't really care enough to do that. And, like, bragging rights aren't that important to me. Genuinely, though, one of my single favorite encounters in all of Deltarune. He just appears out of nowhere, kicks the ever-loving daylight out of you, and just when you think you have him on the ropes, or just when you think you found an opening, nope, dude's way stronger than he appears. Extremely good fight. The whole group, like our main fun gang, really feels like they're all working in sync with each other. And it feels like, you know, our trio is like at some of the strongest they've ever been together. Not just in terms of fighting ability and stuff, but the strength of their bond feels extremely strong at that point. They're all afraid, and they're definitely all terrified for how, you know, against how such a terrifyingly strong opponent, but they also have faith and confidence because they know they have each other to rely on. And the fight itself, the mechanics and the bullet patterns, genuinely super fun and satisfying to dodge against. I love this fight. Definitely an S tier. I think I definitely enjoy it more than Queen. But I think Spammed Neo is still my favorite fight up here, personally. I still think it's one of the best fights up on this list. Oh, Jackenstein. I love Jackenstein. He's so adorable, very funny, and he serves as an excellent tutorial. The TP collection that you have to know for the Guardian and, like, Guardian spawn fight later in the chapter, Jackenstein was a great way to introduce that, and, well, just play the meme. Yeah, I think I am taking too long on ranking this and making this video. I'm gonna go ahead and put Jackenstein. I think he might get low S, honestly, because he's just such a great, fun little character, and he's an excellent tutorial and fun boss and great bullet pad. Like, this is just a really good encounter. I think I'm gonna give Jackenstein low S tier. Then we have Miss Mizzle, another field day the internet had with this one. I don't think as much as Task Manager, but another field day. You know, the school didn't have as much of a budget with this one, but they still did their best for the field day. Definitely a fun encounter, adding a little bit more substance to the water coolers, and, you know, it plays off of the other water spirits we encounter. Pretty fun fight. Nothing too crazy special or anything. I definitely enjoy it more than the regular water cooler fight, that's for sure. But I think Task Manager was a little bit more memorable, personally. Then we have the Gerson, like, statue clone thing when Susie made her Dark World. The listening gimmick was pretty interesting. Definitely a little bit rough if you don't have headphones. Not impossible or difficult or anything, but, you know, a little bit more challenging. And it also served to show that each Dark World that is created is a little bit different, and how each one of them is extremely unique. Gerson being brought back from the dead, just straight up, was extremely crazy, and, you know, Susie's speculation that, you know, just make another fountain and he'll come back. I mean, that does make sense, but still, it's a showcase how Dark Worlds can be very unstable and just very unpredictable at times. It's a pretty good fight, quite memorable if you ask me. I'll definitely put it in B tier, probably, like, I think definitely above Task Manager, but I don't think above Lancer, quite frankly. It's pretty memorable fight. Then we have the Guardian spawn, which is just like a little mini boss encounter. It's nothing that special. I'll throw it in C tier. I'll put it above Mouse Wheel, but I don't think it goes above anything else, personally. But it is pretty interesting how when you fight the spawn, if you have the Black Shard, you can actually kill these things. Like, they don't just run away, you actually destroy them with the Black Shard. Where every other enemies just run away. This is, I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, the only enemy you actually fully destroy, like, if you have the Black Shard. And that's some pretty interesting lore implications. Oh, the Titan fight. I was not expecting that at the end of Chapter 4. My goodness. Genuinely awesome boss fight, extremely cinematic, and the music is just top-notch stuff. Like, my blood started pumping so hard, and my adrenaline levels went when this happened. Such a good fight. All points for presentation. Quite challenging fight, although now that I have the hang of it, I can run circles around it. But genuinely such a good fight. Definitely S tier. Definitely more enjoyable and memorable than Queen. But I still think the night fight in Chapter 3 is just a little bit more iconic, if you ask me. And of course, the secret Gerson boss battle. Very awesome fight. Extremely difficult. I'm not very good at the fight. I was never very good at the Undyne, like, green soul mechanics. But I can manage here and there. And, you know, it's not the worst soul gimmick out there. The fact that Gerson was basically training Susie to make her healing magic better and genuinely just, like, teach her a lesson about herself and a lesson about her power and, you know, what she can and can't do. Genuinely one of the, like, best emotional beats of the entirety of Chapter 4. Susie's struggling and feeling like a failure and feeling like, you know, she can't save anyone or stand up to the knight because he's too strong, and then Gerson comes along like, yeah, you're probably right. Are you gonna do something about it, or are you gonna be a little wimp about it? Such an awesome beat. Gerson's also definitely an S tier. Definitely above Queen. Honestly, probably above the Titan, too. He definitely top 3. I'd say he's like almost on par with the Knight. And we have the Mike fight from Chapter 4 as well. This fight's gimmick is very interesting in that you have to use your voice to sort of move around. It's not my favorite encounter. The music is a banger. And it's quite memorable too. But it's definitely not my favorite encounter out of all of them. It's definitely not a C tier. It's definitely, I'd say either low A or like, maybe even mid B, low A to mid B. I think I'll put it right behind the ladies probably. Maybe in between them. I mean, who doesn't want to be between ladies, but I don't know. I'm gonna put the mics right here. Yeah, that feels good. Actually, no, I'll put them, I'm actually gonna put them right here. Yeah, right there, like near the bottom of B tier. That feels right. Very interesting mechanic, but it's not really my favorite, and it can be a little bit finicky and difficult to control. And now moving into Chapter 5. I've made my opinions very clear about how I feel about Chapter 5 in this video you're seeing on screen right now. I like it, but I don't love it. And I've loved every other chapter of Deltarune thus far. The initial encounter with Aqua's an awesome character. I won't deny that. We got some pretty funny little characters in here. Aqua's hilarious, very funny, very entertaining. The first encounter's like, you know, all around pretty solid. But I think Aqua shines best when she's hanging out with Seth. So I'm gonna put the first Aqua encounter kind of like mid B, kind of with the other ladies. That seems about right. And then I'm gonna put these two in A tier for sure. Definitely like right there, like a nice low A tier. That feels pretty good. Then we have blue and yellow. Honestly, like yellow kind of just felt like a bit of a meme. Like, you know, he felt like he was put in there just to confirm friend inside me as a meme. These two were all right. I mean, they weren't my favorites, like overall. They were pretty funny and had some quirky dialogue, and blue said some pretty good philosophical stuff. But they're really not my favorite duo of all time. I'm gonna put them right below the... honestly, I'm gonna put them at the bottom of B tier, quite frankly. Then we have green and orange. I straight up just didn't like this fight at all. Orange was quite annoying to take down. Green's kind of funny, but green's more of a character type than a full character. And the fight itself was like a little forgettable. Honestly, like it wasn't my favorite fight in the world. I'm gonna put this one... honestly, I'm putting this one in D tier, quite frankly. That's our first D tier right there. Then we have the super behind-the-scenes or background character trio in the form of Newbert, Trashy, and the Ball. This was a dojo fight you could do at the start, which I did do on stream, but I didn't include in the video because it took so long. And I mean, it was all right. It was pretty funny. It was quite an entertaining fight, quite challenging too. Some of the patterns I liked, other ones I didn't. They were a little bit hard to predict here and there, and a little bit hard to get the swing of. But not a bad encounter. I think I'll put them in like high C. Definitely above Shudda, but I think Clover and the Checker piece are just a little bit better. And now moving down to the big two. Starting off, of course, with the Flower Man. Once again, I've made my opinions very clear on Flowery as a character. I'm going to judge his fight purely in this one. I did not enjoy the Flowery fight. I did not like the mechanics. They were very, very difficult to grasp onto. And I did beat him before that patch came out, making him slightly easier, I think, or was that already a thing? I don't know. Either one of these bosses or both of the bosses got a little patch where they got easier each time. But the mechanics were very difficult to get a grasp of. I didn't quite like the bullet patterns. I think there was just a little bit too much going on in that fight, quite frankly. Like, the Knight, one of the reasons I love him so much, even though he took me hours to beat for the first time, his patterns were genuinely enjoyable, and I felt like I had full control over the fight, like in the sense of like, you know, my mistakes are purely my own, but there's so much going on in the Flowery fight that I feel like if something is out of my control or if I make a mistake, I feel like it's not always entirely my fault. I don't know. I was not a fan of this fight. It's pretty memorable though. I will say that it's relatively memorable. I think the most I'm going to be willing to give it is probably either like a mid to high C or maybe a low B. I'll give it a low B. Definitely more memorable than these two, but it's not my favorite fight in the world. And our final entry, Mew Mew Pink Kissy Cutie Anime Girl. This is hands down my least favorite boss in the entire game. The only reason it's memorable is because of how unbelievably frustrating it is. Not just frustrating in the sense that the bullet patterns and the mechanics of the fight are unironically not fun at all, in my opinion. They can be extremely disorienting, extremely difficult to perceive, and unbelievably fast, and you have to have like really good reaction time to beat it, but frustrating in the sense that every other secret boss has been very memorable, extremely enjoyable. I mean, except kind of for Jevil. Jevil's like all right, but every other secret boss has felt like pretty damn like serious, in all honesty. Like sure, Jevil's a haha funny jester, I can do anything, but the implications behind him and some of the dialogue he dishes out is just like absolutely crazy, and it's like, whoa, what the hell does that mean? And I see a lot of people saying that this boss Pink is meant to be like a reflection of Chris and the Soul, two entities trapped in one. But Spamton already kind of did that, one entity being puppeted by another, and I think Spamton did it way better. This fight's also frustrating because its story implications feel like somewhat of a repeat of Spamton. Yeah, big letdown on that boss, just gonna be completely honest. Not a fan. Least favorite boss in the entire game. And with just a couple of tweaks, there you have it, my friends. Every single boss and mini-boss in Deltarune ranked from S to D tier. At least I'm pretty sure they were all on here. I don't think there were any that I missed or any that weren't on here, but if there were, just fill in the blanks yourselves based on my opinions. Deltarune Chapter 6 is set to drop hopefully sometime next year, and I'm very excited and very much looking forward to it. Toby Fox usually never fails to deliver. Like I said, though, made my opinions clear on Chapter 5, but it's still not a bad chapter. I still enjoyed it quite a bit, and I still overall love Deltarune as a story. It is extremely endearing and fun and interesting and intriguing. It really gets the theory crafting gears just really cranking against each other and needing some constant oil. And it's just an incredible little game and an incredible experience. And if you want to do this tier list for yourself for your own reasons, just for fun, or if you want to tell me how wrong I am or show me how wrong I am, I'll leave a link to this tier list down in the description below. And if you do decide to do it, feel free to join my Discord server and post some pictures of it in one of our channels. That'd be super cool. I'd love to look at some of them. And if you enjoyed this video and enjoyed seeing just random person talk about Deltarune just because he wanted to, feel free to consider hitting the like and sub button. I'd really appreciate that. That'd be super cool of you. And if you want more Deltarune content, leave some suggestions and comments, and you know, I'll see what I can do. And if you really like the way I do things and you want to show me a little bit of extra support, consider becoming a channel member or checking out the Patreon. Not only do you get access to a whole bunch of exclusive rewards, but you also directly support me in the process and help keep this channel running. There's also some free content on Patreon right now, like totally free. You don't have to pay for nothing. Feel free to go check it out. But that is gonna do it for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and yeah, have a good day, everyone.